All right. Hello, folks. This is Committed to Greatness. This is your host, CJ Wiggins, and my co host.
Shelly Day.
I was waiting for that, Shelly. Okay. But anyway, yeah, it's two people. It will be a total of four. Kim
It looks
has
like they might be calling now.
a guest on, Tina Bagneski. I'm going to do a quick overview about the show. We talked to her. This woman has an incredible story, courage, perseverance, and strength. Her story is inspiring, it is compelling, and we wanted her on the show so to talk to her more in depth about her story. She's from Wisconsin, or she stays in Wisconsin right now, and she's with our other co-host in the gym,
Hi there.
Kim Norland. Hey, Kim. Hey, Tina, how you doing?
Good. How you doing?
Doing fine. We just was giving a quick, overview about yourself and, some of the things, but we didn't get too far in that. But we uh, we enjoy, you coming on the show today to talk to us and to give us inspiration to the listeners out there and the people that, that'll be watching. So how's the weather over there?
Well, it's raining. I got poured on going into the gym. So I
Oh
actually got wet before I got into the gym.
Oh, okay.
And
Yeah,
that's
we're getting,
the worst about being a cold wet, you know?
no. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But I
Well,
warmed up pretty fast.
okay, yeah, I made it into the gym. We actually got some rain out here in Vegas today. Flash flood, as they call it.
Oh, yeah. It looked like it was going to flood here
Yeah,
today.
yeah, it did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's not too used to it raining out here. People get scared when it rains in Vegas. It's like, oh, what is this water? People have the tops down,
Oh, that's funny.
all kind of stuff. It just when rain comes, it's just people are a disaster. They don't know how to drive in rain, and I'm just like, you can tell they're desert people.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, did you guys work out today?
Yep, we
Yep.
did. We met at the gym, and I think we both had probably a pretty good workout. So we worked out
Okay.
separately, but yeah.
Okay. Well, Tina, we just wanted to for you to give us a brief overview of yourself and what do you do for a living and where are you from?
I was born and raised in Madison, Wisconsin. Here, I lived in Atlanta, Georgia, is where I was attacked, and I've lived in Colorado, and I live in South Carolina, and I don't do a hell of a lot. I work out. I do work very, very part time at like a Walgreens, just working the front cash register, and just enough to occupy me and to waste, to fill in some time, because otherwise I have so much time on my hands that I don't know what to do with myself. So
Okay.
But previously to your
Uh,
talk, she used to.
can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear us? Can you hear us, CJ?
I can hear everybody.
Okay.
It looks like CJ might have froze up.
Okay, it was
Okay. I was just
breaking up a little
say,
bit.
I was just going to say, prior to her attack, she used to have 3 jobs plus a college student. So one of
Wow.
her, yeah, she used to be a cashier.
I was a cashier at a grocery store. I was a cocktail waitress, and I was an aerobic instructor,
plus a student.
plus full-time student.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. You sound like me right now. I'm doing a lot of things.
I
Man,
know.
you're very active. You have a lot of energy there.
Yeah.
Well, back then I was putting myself through college because I didn't qualify for financial aid. My parents made too much money. Good for them. How was that helping
Yeah.
me? So I had to, I was doing what I could to put myself through college. and so had to work. So, but it was fun. I mean, I enjoyed it. I was doing very well, believe it or not. But
Well, I still think you're doing very well. So just in different aspect.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to ask you a question about, working out. How is important? How has that helped you overcome? How important is working out to you?
It's probably the most important thing in my life. I would not be where I'm at if I was not physically fit prior to my attack, or I would not be where I'm at if I didn't continue to work out as I do now. It has helped me increase my mobility, my flexibility, and it's helped in every aspect of my physical recovery. So back when I was in between a wheelchair and a walker, my insurance told me that there was nothing more they could do for me, and all my therapists were saying that. And I did what I could on my own at the gym. I went back to my doctor like 6 months later and showed him what I was able to accomplish on my own. So they put me back into physical therapy. So everything about me is physical fitness. I mean, where I'm at, everything that I am right now is because of my physical fitness abilities. So
Okay.
Now, when you started after your attack, you were not able to even move your legs, you said, right?
right. Well, I had temporary paralysis, and when I did go back to the gym, I was in between a walker and a wheelchair. There was not a hell of a lot I could do, but one of my old friends who was my old personal trainer, he went with me to the gym, and he helped me do whatever I could do, and that was where it all started. So
That's awesome.
Why don't you kind of give them a little bit of your background, like what exactly happened?
I have no memory. 21 years ago, I was 20 years old, and I was a full-time student. The police told me that someone came into my home and attacked me. I was stabbed 17 times. I had laid there for approximately 8 hours before my mother found me. I was in a coma 4.5 weeks. I was in the hospital for 8 months. For 3.5 months after my coma, I had temporary paralysis along with temporary amnesia. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know who anyone else was. I didn't even know if I was a boy or a girl. Slowly, my memory started coming back to me. And to this day, I remember everything about my life except the night that this happened and the 2 weeks prior to it happening. So,
Wow.
Wow.
and I've tried hypnosis and nothing. So,
Wow. That just gives me chills every time I hear it.
So she's always inspired me. Gosh, I've met Tina probably in 97.
mm-hmm.
And so I remember I met her at a gym, and I just was instantly inspired by her story and intrigued to want to actually know more about her and what she's done to overcome her obstacles. Because, gosh, there are so many people that have obstacles of very minor things. And to see this girl, Tina, come into the gym and work as hard as she does, it really is inspiring.
So speaking of obstacles, what is your number one thing or thing that you do to overcome, your obstacles in and out of the gym?
Well, it all depends on what the situation is. But I know with my injuries and what I've had to come through with that, my number one, all of it is based on my mother, who and what she was. I mean, she was very, very wise. She definitely knew how to use that tough love. I mean, she basically, basically told me, Tina, what happened. It was horrendous. It never should have happened, but it did. And she was like, what are you going to do now? Plain and simple. And it was what I needed to hear. It took me a while to digest that, but she was the one that she was my backbone going through my injuries. And my mother now has died. She died 14 years ago. And that I can say I have yet to top as being the worst part of my life. I mean, everything that happened with me is still, there's no comparison to when my mom died. Anyway, so now I still turn to my mom for a lot, when I'm going through something. I'm really not schizophrenic, but I talk to her.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
No, I don't either.
And she talks back to me. I can hear her. I mean, I knew her so well that I know what she would say to me, but I just need the confirmation from her. I mean, if that makes sense. And but there's other things where, I mean, and I was just telling Kim earlier that, I mean, I know that I do have a lot of strengths in certain areas, but there are some areas in life where I have absolutely no self-discipline or no strength. I'm like, a kid running wild. But I just do what I can, and time basically, in time you figure things out. In time, if you want to, in time you can just figure things out and figure out where you want to go. And I will not say, I hear a lot of people say, in time everything falls into place. Okay, that does not happen for me. No. Okay, things never just fall into place. So I mean, I have to make things happen. So in time, I figure out how I want to deal with it. What's going to be my best options, and then I start acting, and then I start doing things, getting things done. But I mean, so with that question, I mean, I guess just depending upon the situation, I just
Yeah. I understand.
But
I know we were talking about it. Go ahead.
Oh, that's okay. I was just going to say that she's just very strong in general, and she made a good point about having to make it happen, which everybody really is your own destiny. I mean, we control our own destiny and our own wants. Even if you do go through an injury, you still have to make a choice, like either sit on the couch or you get up and you go and you live, and that's what you've done. And you really don't have any other choice if you want to succeed in anything.
Yeah, people tell me that, I mean, throughout the last 21 years, people have told me, because I always say, I feel as though I didn't have a choice. It was either live or don't. And people tell me, but Tina, you did have a choice. Mm-hmm. And maybe I did, but in my mind, no, it was not a choice. I mean, I had no choice. And maybe that's because of the person that I am, the woman that mom raised, I mean, or, just because in my mind, I did not have a choice. I mean, and I didn't have a choice.
But you also were very, understandable, very down in the beginning. Your mom was the one that really kind of said, you get up,
If I would have been physically able in a heartbeat, I would have committed suicide. But I mean, at the beginning, I couldn't even move. So, but if I would have been physically able, I would have. And
with the amount of trauma emotionally and physically, I mean, that's every part of your life just taken from you in a second.
Especially at such a young age.
Right. And being as active as you were and everything, I'm a horrible person with like health restrictions. I don't listen and I'm horrible at it. And I can't imagine to not be able to do that. It's miserable.
Yeah. To be told you can't do something, which is often something she was told, you were told you're never going to walk.
Yeah.
Right.
And she walks, guys. She walks.
My doctors,
Wow.
they flat out told me, because they got mad at me because I didn't know how to drive my wheelchair. I kept running into things. They told me that I needed to learn how to drive my wheelchair, and I told them, I'm sorry, but that's really not a priority that I have. And they're like, well, it needs to be, because you are not ever going to walk again. And I'm like, and I think about it, and no, that should not be said to a patient. But if I look at the whole overall picture with me, that may have been
A drive.
that may have been one of the best things that they could have done, because I was like, oh, you think?
Yeah.
Okay, watch.
Yeah.
And that struck my stubbornness.
That's good.
And yeah, so
Yeah.
but I don't think people need to hear that.
No, I totally agree. We've talked about that before. But I think
Yeah.
a lot of times people just say you can't do something. And, some people might use that as a drive, which you did. But some people might say, fine, I'm giving up. And that's really unfortunate.
I'm going to tell you guys a story of my surgeon. He was very, very, very dear to me. He was one that operated on me. He was one that got my lungs working on their own without putting a throat trach in me. And okay, one night, and I vaguely remember this. One night, I was in my hospital room, and I thought it was late enough where no one would come in and bother me. So I started crying, because I won't cry in front of people. And, so I thought I was alone, and I thought I'd be alone. So I started crying. And my surgeon, and this is right after I first started speaking also. And my surgeon came in, and, I'm trying to get everything under control, wipe my eyes off, and I'm, trying to get my composure back. When he just walked over to my bed, he sat on the side of the bed, and he pulled me to him, and he put my head on his shoulder, and he told me, he's like, Tina, let it go, let it out. And I did. I bawled it had to be a good 15 minutes. But then when I stopped, the point of my story is when I stopped, he kind of pulled me away from him, and he looked at me and he asked me, is there anything that you want to ask me? And I looked at him, I said, Dr. Siegel, am I ever going to be able to walk again? And he kind of looked down at the floor, and he looked back up at me, and he told me I will never forget these words. Told me, he's like, medically speaking, it doesn't look like it. He's like, medically speaking, you were never supposed to live. And he's like, but you did. He's like, personally speaking, I think you can do whatever you want. And that was so early on in my injuries, which I'm so, so thankful for, because that was all the other doctors that told me I would never walk again. I would hear Dr. Siegel, I would hear those words. And, so in that, between my stubbornness and those words, where it was what kept me going. And so, I think he was supposed to be there for me, because he gave me so much. He gave me so much light. So.
It sounds like you had a really great team of people. For the situation that you're in, between your mom and your surgeon and everybody.
Here and there, I have had very good people, but I've also had very bad people.
Those people just spur me on.
But it's the good people I remember.
Yeah.
People, I can't really remember specifics. I just remember that
wasn't good.
Yeah, they were not good. So, and the good people I remember because.
So Tina,
yes.
If I know we talked about a little bit, about you overcoming your weight loss, and was that something recently that you were able to accomplish?
No, when I entered the hospital, I was 117 pounds. I came out of the hospital, like I said, granted, 8 months later, I was 220. I got up to 222 before I started, and it took me like 3 months to lose 2 pounds. And, probably because of my lack of mobility, and there wasn't a lot I could do. But then when I lost those 2 pounds, then I started losing like a pound every other week. And I started losing a pound a week. And then I would start losing like 2-3 pounds a week, and until it just all just shot off me. But it took a very long time. But in my whole life, I've never even been the slightest bit overweight. So that was a big change for me, but it also taught me a lot. On that note, it also taught me a lot. I understand a lot more. I understand other perspectives, where people are coming from. I understand the frustration. I understand the discouragement. I mean, I understand things a lot better. So,
would you say your nutrition was a lot different in the hospital? Just because you wanted to, or didn't care, or?
Well, I didn't like the hospital food. I'm sorry, but I didn't like it.
Who does? It's not good.
I'd always make my mom, and of course she's gonna, what's she gonna
take
do?
care of you.
Yeah. I'd always make my mom go to Pizza Hut or Taco Bell or KFC.
Comfort foods.
Yeah. Because back then it was like, I mean, I did turn to food.
Yeah.
As a comfort, and I also, with my injuries, I lost, and I still don't have it back completely. It's better than it was early on, but I lost that ability of feeling full.
Oh.
I don't have that feeling anymore. I could eat a whole large pizza by myself. Okay.
So can I, but I'll feel it.
Wow.
Right.
So I lost that ability, and early on it was really bad. I mean, now I don't necessarily feel like completely full, but I know that I've had a lot to eat. I can feel that.
Yeah.
So,
well, and you're educated too,
right.
So that helps.
Yeah.
Right.
So.
Wow.
But I'm sorry.
Go ahead. You can finish.
No,
I was sorry.
It was really hard to lose the weight because, like I said, I've never had to concentrate on losing weight ever in my life, and so it was a big, it took a big toll. But yet, on like I was saying, on the other hand, I did learn a lot more from it, and now I believe now, with everything I have gone through, which I never would have gone through if it wasn't for that experience. I have so much more. I always thought I was very open-minded, but now I know that I have so much more of an open mind. I can see so much more in other people, and I have that ability now with a lot of my friends. I mean, not that I'm psychic or anything, but I can see things that are going on with them even before they can, and so I'm
aware.
Yeah,
very aware.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And did you worked with a personal trainer?
Yep.
When you first started working out again, right?
Yep. Yeah. Sam was my trainer. He was my trainer before when I was doing aerobics.
Okay.
After my aerobic classes, he would train me for about an hour, 5 or 6 days a week. And and he was one. We can talk about this. He was one that stood by me, because when this happened to me, I lost every friend I ever thought I had. I mean, no one, more than half of them didn't even call to see if I was still alive. I mean, no one kept in touch with me. No one came to the hospital to see me. I mean, Sam and this woman that I worked with at the bar that I worked at were the only two people that stood by my mother and I. And so, and that was really hard. I mean, that was, to be 20 years old, when you're 20 years old, you want your friends. Everything is about you and your friends, and I lost, like I said, I lost everyone I ever thought were my friend.
Yeah.
So.
Oh my gosh.
And people, kind of on that subject, like, do people treat you differently now?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. A lot of people see that I walk with a cane, so they think that I can't think, like, like I just can't, interpret or understand things. And I'm just like, really?
Just walking with a cane.
Right.
And I'll bat you with the cane. I'm still strong.
So, yeah, people do treat me different. It's not so bad anymore. I think now it's not so bad because of the way I hold myself, because I'm more at this day and age, like right now, right now, I'm so much more confident with myself. I mean,
you're older.
Yeah. This is me. I'm not going to try and be something or someone that I'm not. I mean, this is me. Take it or leave it.
Yeah, because how many years has this been now? 20?
More than half my life.
More than half my life.
So,
yeah. So definitely been through a lot. And
It's
so Tina, what
is amazing.
What is the number one thing you could advice you can give people out there if they're going through something to push on, to move on, and to keep pushing?
All right. Don't give up, because like this is what I have in my speech. I mean, it is possible to live a happy, fulfilling life, and it may not always be very easy. Or trust me, it is not that easy. But welcome to this wonderful game of life. But what else is there besides life? And just figure out a way to live a life, because what else have you got besides life?
Yeah.
That's my brother.
There's no struggles.
If it was easy, everyone would do it.
Right.
Yeah, you're right, Shelly.
And it has to come, though, that energy, it has to come from within. You obviously have some very strong drive inside you, because, a lot of people could just...
Don't even shake that off. You do. Like, amazing.
It is amazing.
I don't see it that way. I mean,
that's because you're living it. But at least, we're seeing you for what you go through and what you do. And we're not going through that, but we can appreciate what you have gone through and know that it's not easy, and still be there to support you. So,
well, thank you.
Right now, like, you're inspiring tons of people. I'm just going to tell you that. Like, anybody that's seeing this is like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, which is also something I kind of want to talk about, because Tina has an amazing story. It's a horrible story, but it's also an amazing story, and it's a story of survival and also overcoming a huge obstacle. But she talked about hiring a ghostwriter, and she really should have a writer write her story, because if you've read her speech, which she's done before, what she's given to other people, it's amazing. And she could really help other people with it and make a movie out of it for real, because it could inspire a lot of people.
That would be my long-term goal, is to get like an LMN movie, where they have all those true life crisis movies. I'm right here.
Right. I did that.
You could even play you.
Right.
Right.
I figured this out early on. If I had a movie made, like a big screen movie, I would have Calista Flockhart would play me, and Michelle Pfeiffer would play my mother.
You're awesome. I'll play your sister.
Well, come on out to Vegas and we can pitch the script with somebody.
But it's not just a story of what she's been through, though. Really, it's a story of overcoming so much, because you really have come over a lot.
And there's also a lot to it, like with just living every day. I mean, and having the memory of what I used to be, and just knowing what I used to be, what I used to do, and knowing how difficult those things are for me now, and just, I can't go out running anymore, and that was what I used to run like anywhere from 10 to 15 miles a week, so I mean, I was a huge runner, and and I can't do that anymore. That was the way I kept my sanity, prior to this. And I mean, now I can go work out, but it's still not the same as actually running and doing aerobics. But and
something else that you've kind of adapted to now?
I sit in my garage and play my Sudoku.
Really?
I buy Sudoku like by the boxes where it's like 52 magazines in one box. I buy those twice a year.
That's awesome.
So at least I'm keeping my mind healthy.
For sure. Those things are hard.
Yeah, they are. They can get pretty hard. Some of them are even the hard ones. Some of the hard ones, I'm like, it'll take me less than 2 minutes. I'm like, really?
Well, and we talked about, you asked us how the weather was here and how it's raining. And you guys, we take so much for granted. Just, being able to move fast your car and run to your car and not get wet. I mean, it was pouring. So it was nice enough to pull up and drive you to your car. But, think about it. I got drenched running to my car. She would have been soaking wet to get to her car.
I was on crutches once and it was pouring. And I was like, well, here we go. I'm not getting there fast.
So, we quick dried our hair.
Right. But the way that I see it is that, I'm not going to melt.
Yeah, right.
I'm not like a witch of the east or west or whatever one it is. But
we take so much for granted.
But it's human nature.
It is.
Yeah.
It's what you know.
Yeah.
And I would be the same way if I wouldn't have gone through what I went through.
Right.
So it's human nature.
Mm-hmm.
It's not always right, but it's not always wrong either.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So when can we be expecting that book? I'm
Yeah.
interested in
I'm
reading it.
I'm looking for a ghostwriter, but what I've found, the cheapest I've found, has been $25,000 to $35,000, and
Oh, man.
You need to create yourself a web page and get some stuff going on, like donations, and not only that, but like you really should create a page to help like other women or men or anybody that have been victimized.
Yes.
Because you have so much to offer with your knowledge, your experience, and just your support. Like you could help so many people out. You don't even know it.
I told you that last night. I said, this would be so just inspirational for anybody that's been a victim to hear, that you
It's a community.
have come through that. Yeah.
Yeah. Just, a place for people to come and talk. And you could run the page and other people could come on there and share what they've been through. And, it's just supportive because a lot of people go through horrible things. And
knowing that you're not in it alone is tremendous.
Yeah. And
seeing
not
that other people have survived is tremendous.
And not everybody wants to talk about it or are comfortable talking about it. And to know that there's somebody that they can outreach to is huge.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Well, we will be looking forward to it when we can read it. But me and Kim are writers, so hey, maybe we can help you out and get you started.
And Shelly's a good editor.
Yeah.
Yeah, Shelly has helped me a couple times edit. So I'm not the best, but I got a book out, but I'm not the best editor, but
I'm creative. I'm just not very good at my punctuation always.
I can handle that.
Hey, trust me. I've seen worse. Trust me, I've seen worse. You're really good, Kim. I have read some of your stuff, but I've seen worse. So
thank you very much. I just have to get it right, and you would be great inspiration.
If you want to,
yes.
I still have all the medical files. I still have all the police reports. What was found and what wasn't found, and I've kept everything. So, so I have proof that this did happen to me.
Oh yeah.
So.
And this person, am I right? This person was never found, or Oh,
No.
Well,
No.
Kim, I was going to say about your book, we could write a pitch for someone to pick it up, maybe a writer to pick it up and we could
expand.
write you something and to send it off. Maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. And even contacting people like Lifetime,
mhm.
you definitely have a story.
Yeah.
It's just finding the right person that is interested in it.
Yeah.
Well, I wrote to John Walsh. It was about a decade ago, and they pretty much wrote me back and said that there was nothing they could do because we have absolutely nothing to go on. I mean, well, we have those cigarette butts. I mean,
Yeah.
I explained that to you guys. The cigarette butts, but does Atlanta still have them? That's the biggest question, because, which I don't think they do, because if they did, with as many times as I have called, I think they would do something.
Yeah.
Because Atlanta has a very bad name for itself, and if they can do anything to make their name better, they're gonna do it. So I think that they've just misplaced everything. Like the blood that was found underneath my fingernails. I think because my blood was mixed in so much that they couldn't use it back in '93, but now they could separate the blood.
Yeah.
Now they could use it, but I just don't think I think everything that they did have for my crime has been misplaced because they're not doing anything. So
I kind of asked you the other day, though, like if you'd want to kind of go back.
Yeah, that's another thing that, I mean, if they were to call me, if the police department was to call me and say, Tina, we have a suspect, I'm there. I will do it. But to get to that point,
it's a lot of work.
Yeah, and I'm at a point now where, what? I want to live for tomorrow, not yesterday.
Yeah.
And I don't live in Atlanta anymore. I mean, I don't have the fear anymore of this person figuring out that I'm still alive.
Yeah.
Them coming to finish off the deal. I mean, so, but you know what? I mean, I like I said, if they were to call me and say, Tina, we think we found him, I'm there. I'll do whatever needs to be done. But until then, I think I'm just going to live my life best I can. And I mean, I sometimes think that I do need more closure, but then other times I think that, I gotta let go, and I gotta live my life.
Which is very hard to do, and
Yes.
takes a very strong person.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I'm doing pretty well. I mean, don't get me wrong. I still have my bad days where, trust me, you won't want to be around me. But now they're pretty few. They're very few and far between. So I think that maybe I don't need the closure that I'm talking about. I mean, maybe I have found, in a sense, the closure within myself. And maybe I'll do all right with that.
And maybe just your closure is like going forward and showing the world more about you and your story, and
coming as far as you have, and sharing and helping others.
Yeah, you may never, ever, probably never know who did this to you, but you have overcome it and very strongly have let it go in some aspects, so you can grow, and you can take that and run. I mean, you have a lot to offer, more than you know. You do.
Just sharing that with other people makes somebody else not a victim.
That's right.
Right.
Because you've done some talking with high school kids too.
Yeah. With high school kids, I speak about crime prevention. I think I told you guys all about this, but I did criminal research at the Emory Law Library in Atlanta, and I found deterrence and just what to be aware of with crime, and when your red flags should come up, and when they do come up, what do you do? How do you go about doing it? I speak to high school students about that because they can see themselves at 20 years old and in college as what I was.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's not like I'm going in and talking to them. Yeah, when I was 45 years old, kids are going, yeah, right. You know, I mean, how are they going to be able to relate to that? You know, but when I go in and speak to them, you know, I tell them, you know, when I was 20 years old and in college, they can see that. You know, the juniors and seniors, they can see themselves at that. You know, so I think that I can help them. I can make them more aware, and I can convince them to an extent that they're not invincible. You know,
Well,
that
and you weren't, you know, walking alone at night. You weren't, you know, doing all the things that they tell you not to. You were at home.
Right. And also, you know, tell them about the lock law.
Oh, yeah. Okay, like in my crime, I think I told you guys this, but there was no evidence of forced entry, and the police found that with our locks on our front door, they had been rekeyed so many times that the woman down the street in a completely different complex could use her key and it fit and worked on my door. And that's what happens when you rekey a lock. You rekey it so many times that there's no grooves left in it. So any key can fit and work. And so anyways, with my research, I found that complexes, they do not have to volunteer this information. However, if you do ask when on the property, when, you know, moving in, if you ask for proof that the locks have been changed, they have to provide it. If they can't, don't move in. You know, but you know, in by law, you have that right. You can ask for that, and if they can't provide it, you know, you're not, even if you've signed the lease already, if they can't provide it, then you don't have to move in. So I mean, that's another thing that I like to, you know, spread to the younger people, because you don't think of that. That's not something not something anyone thinks
even
of.
I was going to say, even adults,
Right.
We don't think of that. So it's, I mean, that's definitely something that people should be aware of, and great information, because I would want to know if my lock was changed or not.
Right.
So,
but it's not something you think of because you think it's just a given.
Yeah.
I mean, but it's not.
Wow.
So,
yeah.
Well, quite interesting story, Tina. It's definitely, I got a lot of insight on your story and you, and a lot of other stuff I didn't know. It's like you know, each week we bring different people on here to listen to their stories of perseverance and strength and overcoming, you know, some struggles in their life. And yours, I tell you, got to be one of the most compelling ones out of anyone we had on so far. It's definitely an inspiration to see you to keep going, you know, because me as a male, I don't know what it is like to, you know, I never had that happen to me, and you know, and I guess as a woman, you know, you're more protective now of things you do throughout the day, and especially, you know, just because I see as time get, you know, go on, you know, people, especially when you watch the news and all this crazy stuff going on, that it's just, you know, you got to be careful, you know, but, you know, you also got to learn how to be strong. And I definitely, you know, got that from your story today. But is it anything that you want to end on, Tina, that you want to say before we end the show?
I mean, I guess just, I mean, keep your head up. No matter what happens, no matter what you're going through, just keep your head up because can't always stay that way.
Yes.
And I think we have you tagged on our Committed to Greatness page. If there is someone, who can help with your story, certainly they could contact you or contact us, and we can get you guys in touch.
We'll probably put her speech on the page, so
Yes.
we can have other people read her story because
Yes.
it goes into quite detail of what has happened and how she did overcome, being in the hospital and feeling down. So her mom was a huge inspiration, and I find that very, very incredible because you didn't recognize your mom at first,
right?
But you knew she was connected to you somehow.
Well, she was the only one that I did recognize. I didn't know how, or why, but I just somehow knew that she was my mom. She was the only one that I did know. I didn't know how. I had no memory of her. I just knew. I knew she was my mom. I mean, it was really different.
Yeah, which is why she's your backbone.
Yeah,
for real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Kim, Shelly, any closing? Anything I want to say?
Just keep your head up, like Tina said, and women, especially, like if you're out there texting on your phone, walking in your car, be aware of your surroundings because things happen when you're not looking. Make eye contact often, and go ahead.
And real quick, I mean, like women, like when you're walking out to your car, day or night, you know what? Hold your keys in your hand.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you hit someone across, like on the temple with keys, I mean, it's gonna hurt them. I mean, there are ways, there are things that you can do, to be safe.
Yeah.
Hold your keys in your hands. That's a weapon.
Yeah.
And put as many keys as you can on that keychain. I mean, that is a weapon.
Yeah.
So
somebody just told me the other day to always carry your phone like you're talking, even if you're not talking to somebody, because then people think somebody's listening and they're going to hear.
As long as you keep your eyes open,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even if you're just holding it, talking to yourself, you still look like somebody's there and going to know what's going on.
Yeah.
And also at night, like before you get in your car, look in the back seat.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, make okay. Every time I go up to my car, I always check it. I always try to open it. I make sure it's locked.
Mm-hmm.
If it wasn't locked, then before I go anywhere, I'm looking around. Mm-hmm. I'm going to check everything out. So I mean, and it's just I do stupid. My sister and my friends, they say that I'm very anal. Well, to me, I look at it as being
You're
cautious.
Smart.
Yes.
I mean,
I'm the same way, and I'll check things twice.
Yes.
Yes.
OCD. I just call it safe.
Yeah, I have that too, so. I have to check a door like 3 times to make sure that it's locked.
Yeah.
Beep again.
Yeah.
And if you don't feel safe going out to your vehicle, especially at night, find somebody to go with you. Like
Right.
if you're working somewhere at night, trust your instinct, I think is huge.
Right.
If you don't trust your instinct, you're asking for trouble. Pay attention to your gut feelings.
Right.
You're usually right. So,
yeah.
And that's it.
Okay, well, that is this week's show, and this is CJ, Mr. Fitbiz Wiggins, and my co-hosts, 2 co-hosts there, Shelly Day, Kim Norland, and we will see you guys next week with Michael. He's a fitness model, international fitness model, trainer. The guy has a lot of stuff going in, but tune in. Right back.
Thanks, Tina.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.